the button.
I've been ready to press the record button the whole time. And you know, I said that for the recording.
Yes, of course you said that for the recording. Hi, this is Beth. Welcome to GURPS Wars, a homebrew GURPS Star Wars adventure with Crash and Ellie and EO. And we're doing the Sith Accountants, aka Apprentices of the Sphere of Logistics. And you all seem to be in a cave, so why don't you tell everybody how we got here?
We walked through the desert, tossing cacti in every direction except forward. Look, you asked. We answered literally.
Yes, I did it. You answered literally. You both answered literally.
There was some banter along the way. There might have been a slight scuffle with a cacti that unleashed my rage. I gave in to the dark side of my hatred. But I'm a Sith apprentice accountant. That's... You're supposed
to.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. It's part of your training. You know, how to efficiently harness your rage to do things like throw cacti for 2 miles.
And then we met Wade. And by Wade, I mean the Spulcher.
And then we met Wade. And by Wade, we mean Rufu.
We also met a speeder, which is now upside down, gently placed upside down. And Wade came with us because Wade has been mind-tricked and telekinesis othered into riding on my shoulder. It's the safest place for him to be. And he is a bird of very little brain, so he is easy to mind trick.
He actually still has some high will levels, but, you know.
However intelligent Wade was previously, use your word is a more accurate command than words. One of the
then you met someone
from last week was my food's cut out. I cut you off. What was that?
And then you met, well, as Zenoni said, wait, who is Rufu? Presumably. Well, that's what your Zabrak basically implied real hard was the expected outcome anyway.
And he did try to shoot at Entuxa. Entuxa dodged to the sound effect of somebody driving by without a muffler. I don't think that part was planned, but it was very well timed.
Oh, excellent.
And then 2 of us rushed in, one of us wielding a lightsaber, the other one turning on a lightsaber because they were upset that I rushed in first, brandishing my lightsaber. Buck is guarding the entrance with orders to yell a lot and run in after us if monsters start approaching.
That's fair. And then you people decided to mind trick Wade Fu or Waif. No, I
No.
Excuse me, I just killed myself.
Wadu.
Wadu. Sure. The person who looks like Wade got mind tricked into you're all old acquaintances that he's just can't remember your names right now. He met you somewhere. You're perfectly safe people.
Oh, yes, we're perfectly safe. Sen over here is completely safe. The asterisk in my statement is, we are safe. We are in a good position. You are not one of us. Therefore, the we doesn't apply to you. But I'm not saying that part out loud. If Wade doesn't read, Wade or Rufu don't read the fine print, that's a them problem. They really should read the entire contract before it's assumed they've signed it by not objecting to our presence.
If you continue to use this website, we assume that you consent to the use of cookies on your device.
And the handing over of all your personal data.
Yeah.
For AI
they do
training
that.
purposes.
Murder, horse choke. You can't see me by making force
Give
choke
in
gestures.
to your hatred.
Oh, I did that a long time ago.
Rage against the machine learning.
If I could figure out how to poison it more. But anyway, you people have droids, and droids have those little restraining bolt control things as needed. So, Ellie, do you want to chime in if they missed anything about what Antux has been doing?
No, that sounds about right.
Okay, so
I got included in you people, so
true. I think you were the one doing the mind tricking.
yes. And also the one going ahead.
Yes, invisibly.
Being invisible and going ahead.
Mm-hmm. All right, and you also found a location that had a whole bunch of dead and somewhat dismembered carrion bird things and a really giant spideroid thing.
The out of context quote from that portion was, "We found the clay in darkness factory."
Mm-hmm.
And the ground here is dirt so much that it actually is dirt.
Indeed.
By the way, I'm going to say Rufu begins with RU. Wade ends in DE. If this was Rufu, become Wade. Therefore, his new name should be Rude. Square Enix will want to have words with us.
Rude.
Because that character already exists.
I'm not sure they can copyright a name.
No. I don't think they can. Also, the Rude in Final Fantasy VII is way cooler.
Well, yes.
He's Morpheus before there was Morpheus. So far as aesthetics are concerned.
Oh, it's the pushing up with the glasses gif. I will not look at the gif.
Children, his glasses get smashed in a fight, and he pulls out another pair and puts them on before the fight's over.
Maybe they're prescription. You have to have spare prescription glasses if you go fighting things. So, you people have a somewhat confused Rude food. Whatever. A somewhat confused person, a spulcher, and a lot of darkness, and you're in a cave here, which, as you can possibly have noted by the light of your lightsabers, does continue off in another direction besides the way that you came in. And you, Ran, have a spulcher that is gripping your shoulder and hissing, "Foo, foo, 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 foo." It's hard to hiss when that has absolutely no S's in it, but somehow it's kind of managing it.
Not yet. And now it's thinking, when will then become now?
Uh-huh.
Goose. Anyway, we were talking to our new friend Rude.
Yep. He has a slug thrower. It appears to have more than... It's a rifle. It probably has more than one bullet. He is not holding it on anybody anymore. He's trying to remember who you people are.
You seem just a little addled, like you've just woken up and not yet had your coffee. I've been there, I assure you. Clearly you remember our good friend Entuxa.
It's been a while.
Yes, it has. I'm not actually sure I'm visible, but yes, it has.
Well,
I think you turned visible in order to do your mind trick, if I recall.
Oh, that's probably true.
and you remember me, of course. I'm Ran, and back there, the one looking ominous, is Sen. Don't be put off by that. Sen has resting ominous pose.
He cranes his head around. He can't actually see where Sen is from where Sen's standing behind the pillar base of rock and stone.
There is a warming glow of a lightsaber, at least.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not being that ominous, am I?
Don't remember. He rubs his head.
Oh, I'm new.
Right. Okay. But you gotta watch out for the little monsters.
Oh, yes.
Little
we've
monsters.
run
Little
into
monsters.
several.
Yeah. Yeah, you gotta watch out for them and the Thornhead.
Oh, so for a second I thought you were talking about the cacti. We need to watch out for those too.
Pretty much. Pretty much.
Especially with
A
you
scourge
throwing
on
them
the waves.
around.
They know what they did.
What,
It is quite possible
critters?
that it is quite possible that my failed survival rolls have led to heat stroke.
At least you weren't drinking cactus juice.
With a little umbrella sticking out of the cacti that I cut in half.
That's the wrong one.
Yes, it is the quenchiest, except I do not trust cacti. I would say further than I can throw them, but I can throw them very far.
Indeed. And you never
That-
know,
that
they
sets
might
the
have
bar too high.
hallucinogenic juice. And they might have hallucinogenic juice.
And yes, we do know about the actual monsters that are out there, some of which I think may have been made in here.
Dunno. Had to sleep, but nothing ate me.
And we're all very happy about that.
They attacked us. The monsters did. I barely got away.
Oh, yes, we saw what happened to everyone else.
Yeah. Figures. I had to get away. I had to get back here.
Shame what happened to Buck.
They got him too.
Oh, worse. Far worse monsters found Buck.
There's worse things than that. Thornhead called down more things to destroy us all.
No. But when dark powers are meddled with, frequently other dark powers take notice. I want to make a comment about throwing a rock at a hornet's nest, but I don't know the Star Wars equivalent of doing that.
I mean, there's probably space hornets.
A rocket is hornet's nest.
But it would be a space rock, so a sprock at a hornet's nest.
No, Sprocket's your cat.
No, Socket's my cat.
Socket.
But close.
He's a space rocket.
Isn't that a normal rocket?
Technically, his name is Socrates.
Some rockets will not go to space today.
Some rockets blow up on the landing pad. Or the launch pad.
Indeed.
And to put it quite bluntly, we're here to resolve the issue of the other monsters and the conflict with the first group of monsters. Well, first group that you've encountered anyway. And make sure that everything settles down.
It'll settle down if you kill that Griffin Thornhead.
Oh, no.
It's his
Really?
fault.
Why?
It's his fault. All this is his fault. He's the one who called up the monsters. He did it for revenge. And after I spared his life.
Really? That's fascinating. Do you know that if there's a monster that someone wakes up, killing the person who wakes them up doesn't make the monster go back to sleep? The monster's still awake, and it's angry.
It's the monster of them escaped Thornheads and such. And Tuxa, you have done a critical success on invisibility. You are so invisible.
I'm taking advantage of Wade, Rufu, whoever, being distracted by Ran.
Distracted by Ran does seem to be an ability I should have. I tend to use it on myself in my confusion. Look,
And Tuxa is wandering along.
You seem to have some very specific opinions on how things can go forward. How much training do you have in dark mystical arts?
Don't need much. That's what them Thornheads do. Them and the other escapees.
Refresh my memory. Isn't Wade an escapee?
I mean, technically, you're friend Hosaashi said that he'd been turning over other people back to the huts, and the huts had basically been taking favor on him and stuff, but
Well, Rufu, yes, but this guy's pretending to be Wade.
Interesting point,
also,
yeah.
Is his cover also an escaped?
I'm going to pause briefly because Antuxa is carefully wandering about, and that is an absolutely awesome thing because it's not showing the whole location. Okay, you are in a somewhat irregular...
Oh, yeah. I have turned my vision way down.
That is so cool. Pause for a moment while I paint the picture for people.
Okay.
Everyone else is back in the it's a fairly large cavern. It's got a couple of places where the ceiling is held up via rocks, and people did not dig through the whole thing, apparently. It's irregular. One tunnel, the one you came in through, comes in from roughly the northwest. And then there's another one in the southwest corner of it. It's kind of irregularly rectangular. And Antuxa has been walking up that corridor. Antuxa, wouldst thou kindly give me a detect disturbances and a hearing roll? Okay, let me make a couple rolls here.
So that's a made perception by 4 and a made detecting disturbances by 7 for our listeners at home. And Beth has rolled some dice, then rolled some dice, then rolled some dice. Because GM rolls don't have to be revealed.
Indeed. Well, the first thing is that you're approaching what feels okay. It is not the same effect as the Pit of Nope, but there is a quality that is shared from that Pit of Nope from your previous horrible adventure. And apparently this is the reason that your master sends you on these places, to find things that feel like Nope. Why? Oh, why?
Also, for the record, I noticed you can add a modifier to your roll without actually adding dice to it. So, rolling no dice, I can roll a -1.
That could work.
Or I could just always roll 3.
Sorry. Right. Antuxa, you sense that you are approaching something that feels a bit like a hole, a rift, a thin spot where the laws of the outside world, even the ones that you frequently bend with the Force, are a lot more optional to something that has a great Force presence. So, it's you're approaching something like that. You also hear, let's see, what was that hearing roll by 4? You think a couple of things, people, something is up ahead in that air ahead of you somewhere, and has made little, breathing, scraping noises, little, squelch of feet walking through slightly damp clay, mud, something. And further on, you can vaguely hear, and this might be your ears, the wind, something tricking you, but it might not. You can sort of hear a mutter of someone talking further on to the north. For the listeners, I said north because it was in the southwest corner, and it has been curving upwards northwise by this time, fairly hard. A fairly hard curve.
All right. Well,
Hold still
we'll just be a little
second.
more cautious.
Okay. It's very dark still.
Yes.
Just want to do a little quick thing here.
And perhaps not go up the direct center of the path.
That's probably a good idea. Just a moment. I looked at something and it made a glare spot in my eye. There we are. Okay. Just checking a few little things. Okay.
And this clay's in darkness, and this clay's in darkness, and this clay's in darkness. Are we in a cave?
You're in a cave. You're definitely in a cave, and at the moment you are far enough away from any light sources that you are probably going to be hitting, basically anything that you're seeing it from your own eye shine, which is only working with your invisibility because jazz hands, the force jazz hands. Yes, I did. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm going to keep moving, but more slowly.
Okay.
And along the side of the passage rather than...
Yes, you did hear them off to the other side, more or less. So, cutting back to the conversation, your conversational partner seems to be of the opinion that things of darkness are things of, well, Zabrax, and he actually has not had line of sight on Sen recently.
Fine. That's fine. I will continue to be a distraction for as long as I need to be a distraction. We have 2/3 of our 3 anchors.
So you don't play around with force stuff?
No, of course not. Of course not.
Funny,
No.
I found your book.
None of it works.
So you did play around with it. Also, I thought that was your Uncle Rufu's book. It was in his library.
Yeah, he's got a better library than me. Right.
Yes.
He's got a better library.
Shame about his wounded knee.
He's limping?
Well, didn't he write you a letter about how he wasn't doing so well? Odd. When we met him, he seemed to be walking just fine. Able to run, even. Strange, that.
You should probably shoot him as a liar.
Ah.
That'll fix things, maybe.
I assure you, the thought occurred to us.
I'll help, sure. Sen, what are you up to? And took give me a pause there. And Tuxa, give me a pause there. Actually, I'm going to drag you back just a moment, and Tuxa. Yeah. Oops. Are there 2 of you? No, there's not 2 of you. And
Tuxa appears to be in a wall.
You got what you wanted out of the whole thing, huh?
Oh, me?
Why, yes. You
and Tuxa
did want this end of the deal, didn't you? This body. And who cares what happens to the old one?
What's that Thornhead been telling you? You talked to him, ain't you?
Oh,
we're Sith. Do you think we couldn't figure this out on our own?
Young Wade here was also very helpful.
What? What do you mean?
The being inhabiting your old body, your correct body, is one of those monsters.
What? What you talking about?
He didn't do a very good job of hiding it. Was very interested in blood, death, and suffering. Would make for a good Sith, I think. Except...
maybe too good.
Yes. Those kind of aspirations tend to limit your upward mobility. Masters tend to see that as overstepping.
I wouldn't know, but okay, I'm going to cut back to Antuxa here while Rude is stammering a bit. Antuxa, I would like to have another hearing roll from you and also another disturbance detection.
Made it by 2? Made it by 8.
Yay! You passed the one area where things were thin, and now you are coming up on something that is... All right, if the other one felt kind of like a pit or a depression or something that was leading into a world, a place where the force is more important than the physical universe. This feels like you're coming up on something where something is protruding into the physical universe from something of the force. If that makes sense?
Yes.
You passed one place and now you're coming up where something it's protruding. It's coming in. There's an invasion maybe, and you hear sort of little scrapes here and there that you're coming close to, and this is a fairly narrow bit in the tunnel now that branches north and a bit west, and you can definitely hear someone talking, saying things in languages that you don't fully understand. Sounds like more than one language even. And you also you made it by 8. In the force, you feel a heartbeat. It is slow and strong and powerful, and it is as if it is beating in your own ears. And you may continue if you wish. And this is all coming out of the darkness.
Okay.
And frankly, you feel kind of like if you're being haunted as well, maybe something is being behind you at your back, ghostly fingers upon your shoulders that you can't quite actually feel. There's a lot of stuff going on in the force right here. You know.
The barely successful occultism roll.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to tell, is this like, are they having a conversation or are they like doing something?
It's not a conversation. It's one person speaking.
Okay, but like, are they talking out loud to themselves or are they like, is this a directed chant?
It's something, but it's more like it's more like a chant or a command, or let me think of the right proper phrasing. It's the sort of thing that's done when you are telling the force what you want it to be doing and focusing the mind as you are empowering a ritual.
Like when Rand says, what if we took all the cacti that were here and put them over there? Only
okay, pause, Intuxa.
Yeah.
You are definitely approaching the protrusion, and you probably don't want to step in it.
Yeah, I definitely don't want to step in it. I also want to try and be quiet about it.
Okay. You are being quiet about it. The thing is definitely like right in front of you. The talking is just, yeah. And Tuxa is now beating hasty retreat back down the path. And Tuxa is going closer to the pit. And Tuxa is possibly hearing breathing as she walks by here and there.
Yeah.
And Tuxa better not go down the pit without the rest of us. I need to go back and get a bottle of vomit.
And Tuxa has seen what she wants to see and is now coming back to the rest of the group.
Okay.
Sure Tuxa has seen what she wanted to see?
Well, she hasn't had to make a fright check yet. I mean, unless she feels like it.
That's not the same as saying that she wanted to see that.
Well, there is that.
And
Rude has been...
Hmm?
Rude is sort of making comments that he thinks that shooting Rufu, would be the right thing to do, especially if Rufu's possessed.
Yes, but it's from what I've been told, that wouldn't do much. Whatever's in Rufu has been healing Rufu. Rufu would just, or ex-Rufu would just get better. No, it needs to be a more permanent solution. And we're so glad we found you here. Because We thought we'd have to do something to bring you here. And yet, you came here on your own, so worried about the dark monsters that are out there, how they might eat you, and yet you went to take a nap in their home.
This ain't where they live.
It's where they're made.
No,
You have 3 Force sensitive individuals telling you that this is a home for them.
what?
Pardon me,
No.
darling.
He sits on a barrel and puts one hand to his forehead with a great deal of serious confusion. His brain is working overtime.
Let's...
I assure you, darling, the creatures in the next room would seem to disagree with you.
What? No, they I'm here to try and here's safer. It's dark and safe here. They were out there.
They like the darkness. And bottlenecks, for that matter. Harder for prey to run
And
away
the
from them.
horrible pit, I'm sure you'll be excited, Bran, that they seem to be coming out of.
Wait, I left my climbing gear on the train.
Another horrible pit.
Yes, and this time a terrible ritual to go with it.
By ritual, you mean in progress.
Yes. Well, it seemed rude to interrupt.
Well, you are our people person.
I do try. That's why you're carrying the bird.
I absent-mindedly give Wade another pat on the head. Bird Wade, not rude. I do not reach out and pat the possessed Wade on the head. I reach out and pat the Wade doing the possessing on the head.
Seems like we have a ritual to check out.
Indeed,
seems we
and
do.
darling, if you have been safe here, it is either by design or extraordinary luck. I don't know what to think at this point, but if it isn't extraordinary luck, then perhaps you'd better tell us what's actually going on, because, well, eventually everybody tells me the truth.
I don't understand what you're talking about.
Why
I mean-
did you think this place was safe?
It's defensible. I'd hear somebody coming and that Thornhead's going to come back eventual, like, because he knew where it was. And then I shoot him. And the monsters go away.
The monsters are self-propagating at this point.
Well, that's because of the Thornhead. If I shoot him,
Keep saying that. You keep going back to that. What an interesting compulsion you have.
to shoot him? Nah, that's just common
Not
sense.
shooting the monsters. Not going after the monsters. Going after someone who knows how to stop them. It occurs to me that when you were put into that body, you didn't have to be put in there alone.
There ain't nothing but me here. I don't have anything controlling me.
And a compulsion to sleep in the den of the monsters you are afraid of because you assumed it was safe.
I wasn't sleeping here. I mean, it wasn't compulsion to sleep here. I just fell asleep now and then because it's been a while since I got here.
And Rand knows something about compulsion to think a place is safe because Bird Wade is digging those claws into Rand's shoulder right now.
Yep.
It's the safest place in the world.
Yeah.
And Tuxa, Sen, I really feel like we should take a gander at the show that Antuxa has found for us. What do we do with our young friend here? There's air quotes around the word young, but they're implied.
Well, I think we've got to take him with us.
Yes, that sounds like an excellent plan. Come, if you believe this cave is safe, surely going further into it is even safer.
That don't follow. Parts of the cave might cave in.
Oh, I have ways to prevent or cause that. And Let's put it this way. I lean forward in a conspiratorial fashion. There are very scary monsters out there and in here. But the three of us, as I have my eyes shift over towards Entuxa and Sen, are the scariest monsters you'll likely ever meet. If you're lucky, you're safer with us. You might want to tag along.
You sure you don't want me holding the escape for you?
We have a friend dealing with that now.
You're sure?
I'm sure
I set my hand on his shoulder. Oh, we're quite sure, darling.
Psychometry made by 9.
Last session.
Hmm?
I don't think I got to do this last session.
No, if so, I fear I may have forgotten, and I apologize for that. But made by 9 is pretty darn good. He has been here in the dark. He fled in something of a panic from things that were attacking. You get flashes that are definitely some of those horrible little gray-green, sparsely furred, terrible monster critters. Further back from that, you see him talking to people, including Buck, including some of the other people who were, dead. Axbit, apparently, in there. You further back, there's darkness, there's clay, there's things going on, there's confusion. He's lying there, baffled and confused, and it's a different him that's lying there, just in that flash of instance. You made it by 9. Is there anything you want to zero in on?
That different him, in what way?
The person who was lying in the dark is not the person who stood up and staggered out into the light. And yet it is the same body.
Okay, same body, different mind.
Yep.
Entirely unrelated mind?
I didn't catch that.
Entirely unrelated mind?
What would you count as related?
Well, it occurs to me if half of Wade is in the bird, I would love to know where the other half is.
As far as you can tell, if there is anything of Wade that is not in the bird, it's not there. It's not in this person either.
Okay.
He does feel alone in there if perhaps a dark ritual does cling to him with a psychometry made by 9. There are wisps of darkness that cling to him that are not generated by the mind that's running this thing.
What Rand is thinking is when Rufu was put into Wade's body, he wasn't put in there with another consciousness, but was put in there with certain compulsions added in to make him more controllable.
Possible.
That tracks with what I found out. Okay. I can't communicate this to the rest of the group yet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
not unless you want to try to use your Sith language to do it.
It's when Rand was saying you weren't put in there by yourself, that's what Rand was guessing, and Rand is going to continue to think that until other evidence is presented. So the player is glad that Rand is right. However, Rand doesn't know that Rand is right.
All right.
I figured out a thing. I can't gloat about it because that would be in character, and we don't want to tip off. Actually, I already said it in front. Never mind.
We really should get going if we are going to get going.
Yes. They do start the shows 5 minutes late, usually just so everyone can find a seat. But from what you've said, they've already started playing the before show ads.
Yes, and personally, I would like to get some popcorn.
Well, let's all go to the lobby.
You still have a bird clinging to you. You have a somewhat cautious Rude, quote, Wade, unquote, following along, although he does a double take at Sen when he finally comes around to see where Sen is.
Hello.
He looks at Sen's lightsaber, and just sort of nods.
I have added the flying icon to my character, not because I'm flying, but because it's a bird on my shoulder.
That's fair. I'll just move the bird along occasionally. Are you bothering to make anything resembling a stealth check?
I should probably at least pretend.
I would like to note my positioning here.
Yes.
You are going behind Wade.
Yeah.
I'm making sure he doesn't make a break for it, yes.
And
He is
Ran
a bit,
is the distraction, by which I say he failed his stealth by 3. So definitely the distraction. And I think I see someone up ahead.
your light has caused, indeed, you see something sort of scuttle out of sight.
Oh, there's another new friend up ahead. What fun.
And Tuxa has turned invisible. Sen is being stealthy. Although you are in a dark cave and you are holding a light source, there's only so much that your stealth can do.
Yes, and that is why I am wedging up against the wall and, well,
Shall we
doing
go
my
into...
best to keep the lightsaber glow partly blocked.
Mhm.
I see a
Reasonable.
little shoulder sticking out over there.
Shall
want to
we?
take 5 before we go into combat rounds?
That's a good idea. Let's take 5 before we go into combat rounds.
And when we come back, I can use telekinesis other to simulate a ping pong ball.
You're going to try and grab somebody by their shoulder.
And bounce them off of walls and ceilings, yes. Actually, I think there's a GIF for that, which I'll look up during the break. All right, pausing now. And that's
Shall we
when I
press the
said,
button?
Panthers.
And the amusing thing is that, yes, you did. I mean, not just then, but... And we're back.
We're back.
Let's go
And-
into combat time.
Just before the break, I was about to make a telekinesis other roll. So watch as I end up going last and everyone else does something before I do telekinesis other, thus making the telekinesis other not be relevant and I do something else instead.
Well, let's see. In fact, we probably should go to figure out whose speed is what. And
5.25, the same it's always been.
is it combat tracker? I don't know how to make the combat tracker work.
Select all the characters you want to be in combat. I usually do that by clicking and dragging a great big square on the map. And then when you right click on the character you want to add to combat, there's a little shield and 2 crossed swords on their icon. Click on that and it adds them to the combat tracker.
Oh my gosh! So it does.
And I have a little D20 I can click on to roll initiative.
That comes out as D6s.
And I have...
And it's also not actually respecting the rolls that we're making.
Yes, because Antuxa has 5.25, same as it's always been.
Oh,
It's you putting
Same
your
as it ever was.
speed.
Same as it ever was. Same as it ever was.
The GURPS is taking
Am I
over
the fastest? Apparently I'm the fastest.
You're the fastest PC.
11 is, hang on, dexterity. Okay, so it's basic speed plus dexterity divided by 100 plus the d6 divided by 1,000 divided by 100.
So that
So,
it has some randomization between people with the same basic speed.
exactly.
That's clever as heck.
Oh, look, the healer goes last.
And all the nopes go first.
However, the Nopes are not yet aware that you have seen them or glimpsed them, or, well, glimpsed one of them. And therefore, Ran can start this, and then we will run, and then we will go to full combat time. Is that acceptable?
I'm okay with it.
Okay, if no one has
You're
an
saying I
objection.
should go first? I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I figured that would probably indeed, and I am going to use the simplified house rules, which someone should probably
Codify?
no, not modify.
No,
Should
codify.
probably
Write down.
codify. Yeah,
Or turn into a fish.
pin
Carpe rule set.
pin message. There's my things.
Also sounds like it involves turning something into a fish, maybe.
That would certainly be codifying it. Yes.
Carpe diem. Which is
Or
when you
carpe
give a
diem.
man a fish and feed him for a day. Anyway, I intend to give that monster I can see their shoulder an introduction to the wall that is on the other side of the tunnel. Let's see if I can. I made my telekinesis other roll by 8.
I will give the obligatory attempt at something resembling a defense roll against that. Actually, roll, or did I just misclick? It misclicked. Okay.
Personally, I'm hoping that starts a fire or something.
As you are yanking the thing along, it made its dodge roll. It screeches and digs its claws into the tunnel beside it, and sadly, it has made its strength roll pretty well. You can drag it more into view. Poof. It is more into view here. Yeah, that'll have to do. It is screeching.
Well, hello there.
The bird on your shoulder, I'll move the bird up here just to make sure, goes "Sss," and clings very hard. Okay.
Well, hello there.
Okay, let's start with this one. There is more yowling sounds. Are more yowling sounds? Yes, there are more yowling sounds. More yowling occurs.
And Tuxa, how opposed are we to bringing the roof down on all their heads if there seems to be too many of them? Just thinking ahead.
As long as it doesn't come down on my head. Well, and yours, I suppose. And Sen's.
Well, I'd make sure that we're out of the environment.
Oh, well. In that case, by all means.
Yes, that makes sense. There is one that has dashed into view. It is brandishing a knife. Another appears
A volunteer.
in view. It is indeed a volunteer. I mean, the question is, how bright are they? Kind of. Another one appears just barely in view and is aiming a bow. And you hear sounds as if something is climbing up, squelching. It's hard to tell. You hear sounds beyond that as well as the screeching. That's that one, and that one, and that. And this one is going to go here. Okay.
May I use my movement retroactively to just have me be closer to the wall of the cave?
Sure.
Like here?
Where you want to be. Yeah. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. It's
Gives you a little bit more space to see.
Ran wanted to lead. Ran did not want to be a bottleneck.
That is fine. And overall, depending on everything, people can probably squeeze past you a bit if need be. Wade actually goes fat. He's got some good stats there. No wonder somebody wanted that body. Rude. He takes one step around and is getting out his gun. Okay, Sen's turn.
Unfortunately, Wade's gun is a muzzle loader.
No, it's a
Action 1.
Fortunately-
removes the ramrod and the little packet of musket ball and gunpowder. Round 2, tears the package open. Round 3, Sen has finished murdering everyone.
that is about how GURPS with muzzle loaders would tend to go unless you can make some serious fast draw rolls, and then you might get round 1 or 2 in there.
A skilled redcoat could, in theory, reload within 12 to 15 seconds.
I can move 5 of these hexes.
Yep.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And
I suspect that the measurements say that the hexes are 5 feet when they're supposed to be a yard. Oh, no. No, they're correct.
They're GURPS hexes?
They're GURPS hexes. I just drew a shape that was 1 hex in radius, and it said it was 1 yard.
Nice. I will have to remember to set all the maps to hexes.
Hexagons are the bestigons.
They are. You can... Okay.
I do not think I can hit lightning at a -5, so I am going to... what's the AC on this?
On lightning?
Yeah.
Interesting question. I think that it does not have AC per se, but you can aim with a +1 for second of aiming up to 3. I will have to... We can reevaluate whether it should have AC after the game, if you remind me.
Then I am going to aim.
Okay. And there is a little thing here that... Let me scroll in so that I can actually see it. I can put an aiming mark on you. All right. The bird is crying "Fuss!" in a somewhat panicked way and is clinging very tightly to Rand's shoulder. Rand, you get your turn in here. Possibly technically because you started things out I shouldn't have, but you're in the list, so whatevs.
Could you ping the monster that has the bow?
The one that has the bow is that's the one you're hanging on to. No, it's the one right behind it.
This one has the bow.
How do I... Yeah, that one has the bow.
Okay. I'm going to try to shove them backwards. If nothing else,
all right.
Mess with their shot.
That is quite true.
Even if they manage to hold on to something. Ideally, they'll grab onto their friend, and I'll get a twofer. Please, please, please let them be the reward if this is a crit success. That would be hilarious.
That would be hilarious.
I've got you. You've got me. Who's got you? I do. I made it by 8.
A mirror made by 8. Okay, let me do the appropriate rolls of determining. I should get scrolling inside. That's not going to make that. Okay, made by 8. I figure you can shove them back like, at least 4 hexes if you want.
But 4 hexes back.
Oh, there's a wall in the way.
That wall.
It does, doesn't it?
That might stop their speed. That would reduce their speed to 0 very quickly.
Yes, it would.
They might take
Roll
damage from
me.
that.
Yeah, they might. I'm pondering. Give me I think I might call that a falling damage. So give me a 2d6 -2, which is done by memory. So if it's wrong, oh well.
House rules are fine. That's a 6.
Roll and shout, roll and shout. Okay, let's see. They do have some innate DR that your lightsabers have been just cutting through. So, 2, 3, 4. Okay, it yelps.
And all that
do you wish to make
is no longer aimed.
Indeed, that is quite true. It did not, however, drop its stuff. I believe that you would have a opportunity to move if you so desired, but you may desire to stay right where you are.
How many hexes did these things move when they were running?
They probably have a move that's similar to yours.
Which is?
5. 5 hexes per per turn.
Ooh, I don't like that. 1, 2.
Okay. Spulcher goes with you. And next up is... Mm-hmm. So is the Force.
Yes. The Spulcher is my +1.
Okay. The invisible NPC has moved. And Tuxa, who is also currently invisible, as I recall.
Yes.
You're up.
I am counting hexes.
And Tuxa, still invisible, sticks her leg out into the middle of the tunnel.
I am, getting out of Sen's way.
Wise.
And I am going to draw a circle on the map.
Oh, ho, ho.
But what color?
I want this to be a circle program, not an ellipse.
It is a circle from a certain point of view.
That's the way to do it.
Ah, very nice.
That's a very big circle.
Mm-hmm.
I am very glad to have not tossed any of the monsters outside of the range of this circle.
Oh, I measured that very carefully.
Force Storm. I am going to rule that Force Storm breaks invisibility, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I figured it would.
You can do invisibility, or you can do other force things that are combat abilities. Non-combat I will rule as appropriate for the circumstance. But this is combat. This is combat!
And that is 5 lightning damage to everything in the circle except me.
Very nice.
And hopefully they are lit on fire so we can see them.
Well, it's
And this
lightning
one's on
damage,
fire,
so they're...
and this one's on fire, and this... Are we
I don't
playing
expect, like-
Zeely?
I don't expect lingering fire damage. I am looking for we can see them fired, like their clothes catch on fire or something.
They're not really wearing clothes,
Okay.
alas.
All
At
right.
least we can see by the light of the Force Storm.
Yes, that's true.
Okay. I have
So the
taken
ship
off
went out on
a
a chilly
number.
night, and they prayed to Intuxa to give them light.
And then Tuxa
Okay.
said, "Of course, darling. I would be more than happy to oblige, although it might get messy."
Let's figure out if this thing is going to realize who. Nope. You have stepped into position, but you are not having a drawn lightsaber, and Ran is.
I'm a distraction.
4, 5.
Oh,
Okay,
you are dangerously
you are out of
close
range.
to stepping outside of the force lightning. I might have to do something about that.
It's bolting towards you. The one that you had been dragging around,
Well, I let go of
Draws
the one I was...
a bow.
Oh, that one, yeah.
You had,
Mhm.
you let go of that one, I presume.
I've let go of one to toss the other.
Mhm.
And now there's a third
Yep.
who volunteers as tribute for my next turn, provided that Sen doesn't do something very bloody to them during their turn.
Next. Okay. This one is taking the aim maneuver. Let me make it. Come on. Aiming. So that you're aiming. Do I have to right click you? How do I do that? That pings and toggles. This aim. Clicky. All right. I'll just use that as the aim one since it's the one that will show up for me. Grr. 1, 4, 5. And then, what the crap?
Beth.
Why is it? Yeah.
I really don't want to ask this.
What did I do?
If their basic speed is 6.25, isn't their basic move by definition 6?
It is if they do not have they have the reduced move disad. They have little short legs.
Gotcha. Okay. Just making sure.
I have in fact looked at that, and I've looked at their little character sheets, and basic move is 5, and there's a -5 there. Why the criff are these not? I'm just going to have to remember that the little buggers are. Is that a thing that's targeting what people are aiming at? That's not fair. Anyway, all right, we've gone through all of them. Ooh, which one of these is not on the list? Somebody's not on my list. This one's there, that one's there, that one's there. Oops, no, that one's not defeated. One's there. 1, 2. Well, I'll worry about that later. They all go at the same time, so I'll just go through them. NPC. What can the NPC see? The NPC is going to make a roll because a whole bunch of lightning happened. The NPC is standing there aiming apparently-ish, or at least waving the gun, sort of trying not to be hitting people, and is swearing because that's a lot of lightning that's just suddenly happening up ahead. Kapow, kapow, lightning flashes, etc. Sen's turn. Ew, are you muted?
I don't think I'm muted.
Okay.
Okay, I will only take a -2 penalty to hit that one with lightning because I'm aiming, but...
One of them did come closer, I think. Yes.
So I'm going to try to hit that one that is fairly... Oh, that's not going to do it.
Is that with the closer range?
Yes. I used the ruler tool.
Lightning
It said
goes...
-3, and I was aiming for 1 round, so...
Okay. You get your move now. Lightning goes arcing off.
Spend fatigue.
That's true. You could spend fatigue and make your skill better.
I could,
If
but
you
I
want.
do not wish to spend 4 fatigue on this.
Okay.
You now get your move. And you do have your lightsaber
Do I
drawn.
have to spend fatigue because I tried to zap, or only if I successfully zap?
I think only if you successfully zap,
I'll go with that. That's reasonable.
because you're not actually doing any damage.
There's being in Took
I may
there's
assist-
being Sparky.
For the sake of this combat, and me not wanting to think about it for a long time, sure, we will go with it only costs fatigue if you hit. After all, it's fatigue per damage.
Mm-hmm.
So you get to move. I think you moved 1 hex already.
I moved a couple.
Okay, 2. I think you can move up to 3 more if you desire.
I do not desire.
Okay, that's where you want to be.
Yes. I believe Rand had a maneuver
A
that he
maneuver?
wished to attempt.
I have options. And on one hand, if I don't do something about that archer, I'm probably going to have an arrow to match Antuxus. But if I don't do something about this one that saw me and started running right towards me and is almost out of the lightning, then I might have another knife to the chest. Yes, Ellie, you are correct. This is what we call a target-rich environment. So I'm thinking maybe I want to solve one problem with the other problem. Can I position with telekinesis other this one monster to be a nope shield? Just put them between me and the one with the bow.
I think you can totally do that. For precision, I'm going to ask for a -3 because you're evaluating where the one with the bow is and
Oh yeah,
where you have
I've
to
been
put it
looking
in.
at the line of sight the entire time since my last turn.
Exactly. I will call this a -3 to make your telekinesis do this because you've been doing your telekinesis so much that honestly, you deserve a few penalties.
And Ellie, you were saying?
After all, you can soak them up. And you were saying, Ellie? Yeah.
I was just going to say, I'm not sure you can do it with a -3. Your telekinesis other is only an 18.
You know,
it's
I think we're getting close to the end of this arc. It's time to take the big risks. And for the record, I do want to try moving them more back and over versus just sliding them over because I do see Antuxa right around the corner there. I'm not trying to put them in Antuxa's face. Made it by 10, so actually made it by 7.
Mm-hmm. Let me see if it can cling to the ground. It's the one that's just in front of you, right? It has missed its attempt at dodge. You have, let's see, 1, 2.
It'd be more fun if I had them bouncing off of things, but...
You have Monster 4, and you're putting it between yourself and Monster 2 that just pulled out its bow, right?
Yeah. I'm trying to basically block with another monster.
That is a perfectly reasonable sort of thing to do, especially if you're an evil, evil Sith. Okay.
Well, I'm not.
It will certainly, at a minimum,
blocking
have
with anything I care about.
Well, yeah, exactly. Date that token. Just check to see who people. No, very nice, very nice. Okay.
But I have to say, that's one of the most ridiculous jokes I've ever made.
I'm trying to make sense of it. Is that a response to the GIF, or?
We're nearly at the end of this arc, so it's time to take the big risks.
What? No.
Time to unload the giraffes.
When it's time to unload the giraffes board games.
I'm just going to have a moment of silence to appreciate, and I hope you hear the finger quotes, that pun, or that setup, or that shaggy dog, or whatever. Oh.
Ellie took
And
the
took
aim action with that pun.
Uh-huh. I believe that you're in your second of doing damage, and should you roll for each second of Force Storm, or do we use the original, do you think?
Personally, I think we should use the original.
That's true. You would think that. You rolled a 5. Okay, we'll go with that.
Also, shouldn't the monster that I'm holding be closer to that spot I just lit up on the map? Yeah.
Sure.
Which I say this understanding that can cause a problem, because now it's less likely that Sen will be able to run forward and slice it in half. But
there is that.
Because I pushed it a little bit further into the lightning storm. If only Sen had ranged attacks. Oh, lightning storm went away.
Well, yes, it's over.
Oh, well, never mind about the lightning then.
But it did do its final 5 points of damage to everything in the circle.
Yay!
I should probably make it each time. But...
yeah, you probably should. But I like the 5.
I figured. We can go with that. Let me just do one little thing.
I know these things have a lot of hit points, but...
they don't have that many hit points, actually. What they have is high pain threshold, so hurting them doesn't actually stop them, and high health. So they
win their stay awake rolls.
Yeah. They win them. They've been having a lot of very good luck, actually, on a lot of that. So...
well, I figured...
except actually that one over here.
I figured 10 damage should do some to even the odds.
Indeed.
And one of them took 16.
In fact...
in theory.
Yes.
Actually, which one? No, not that one. Which is monster? Archer. Yeah, I'm just trying to find the one. Are you not in this? Nope, that's not what I want to do. Why is that one? Okay, there. Now that one is part of the... just in time. That one slumps over there, unconscious, as lightning licks through and over its body. It's not withering away to desiccated nothing, so it's probably not dead.
Yet. Well, technically it is dead.
Yeah,
it's not done being undead. Whatever.
It's either pretending to be dead, or it's...
that was 2 ones. That's a critical success fright check.
And Tuxa, your will of this is... You're doing... is this a fright check for your... what's the word? The post-combat shakes thing? Or...
this is a fright check for... I believe I'm haunted, and I think there's a ghost in me. And I'm trying to find out if I have a penalty for the rest of combat because of that. Because I'm unsettled by it.
Ah, yes. This is the first time in the recording that we're mentioning your additional quirk from overtaxing yourself the last time you did a lightning storm.
Yes.
From your point of view, Bentuxa, you feel a great deal of clarity, and perhaps the darkness and weirdness of this place that you are in and the combat has caused whatever is haunting you to flee. It may be back. But at the moment, you are fine.
At the moment,
you scared it off.
Saying, "Hello, darkness, my old friend."
You've come to light it up with lightning once again?
Pretty much.
Do you wish to do any move? I think, can you do movement on this second or no?
No, I can't do anything except the Force Storm.
Okay, and it just faded out. Okay,
and it just ended.
Back to the top of the encounter. Monster here. Monster here is dangling. I need a... what do the symbols for, like, flight and whatnot go on? Is that on appearance? What's the little token?
If you right-click on the icon, the One right above combat, where it looks like a silhouette that's glowing.
Ah, Zippy Zap one.
Fourth
Excellent.
row, third column is flight.
Fourth
Or
row.
you can do what you did.
No,
Oh my
I'll put the
gosh,
flying on it.
It had tiny
It was a
little
tiny-
sad eyes. It was like, no, why
Yep.
would you do this?
That's
I'm just a little
That's
guy.
the agony one.
I'm just a little guy. Why would you do this?
Yep.
I got little legs.
What the heck is it?
Agony.
Oh, nausea.
And then we break into a song from Into the Woods.
I will use pinned because it is actually kind of pinned there. Okay. It has a knife and it is snarling a bit because I'm going to presume that when you lifted it up, you raised your free hand and are waving your free hand around a bit, since most Force users kind of do.
Even if I don't have to, I'm doing it for the aesthetic. My shoulder that has bird weight on it is like I have the shoulder that doesn't have bird weight moved towards them, while the one with bird weight is moved back, and my right, I'm assuming bird weight is on my left shoulder. That's how I've been headcanning it. So my right arm is with my lightsaber in it is raised up as I lifted them up. I'm also holding lightsaber in that hand, so it doesn't look as cool, but also it's right there in case I have to make a block roll or something.
I want
Look,
and Tuxa to give
this thing.
Yeah, I wanted Tuxa to give me a perception roll, and I want Rand to give me a perception -5 roll. And Tuxa, the monster number 2 here that was aiming at Rand has shifted to aiming at you. Rand, the one that was aiming at you, you see it shift its feet from behind the flailing of the one that you're holding, which was causing a bit of visual there.
Oh, no, you don't.
Hurrah.
Okay, okay, good. That one has a knife. Who's it going to go for? 1, 2. Actually, does it have a knife? It may not have a knife. 3. You're right there, Antuxa.
Oh, goody.
Would you care to make it? You made your dodge. It looks at you. It throws a punch. You manage to fling yourself out of the way of getting punched. It's in its second turn of. Well, I'll just say. All right. Oops. No, you do not vanish from the thing. How dare you vanish? You're gonna do what I think you're gonna do. Okay.
Yes, he is. He is doing what we all expected him to do.
All righty. I do believe it's Sen's turn.
1, 2, 4,
Rufu, you're going to miss the show.
1,
Wait for
3,
intermission.
4, 5. One moment.
Oh, he actually made a stealth by 5. Sen has a target-rich environment. Sen has run forwards in the tunnel.
Sen is looking up whether there's anything, any sort of maneuver that lets me use both ends of my double-bladed weapon for this.
Even with a single-bladed lightsaber, the number of times that you see someone do one swing and cut 2 enemies in half is well above 0.
I would probably call it a double attack with a penalty for the second attack.
Although, one of them is currently pinned in the air. So if that was the second attack, there might be a benefit that cancels out the draw.
It would certainly have a harder time dodging.
If it was just me, I'd be moving on to stop hitting yourself, stop hitting yourself. But it's not just me.
I found people attempting to build the technique.
I found a cat sneezing.
Actually, I'm surprised that GURPS doesn't seem to have a cleave maneuver.
So are the people in this thread, which is what I was trying to paste, but Discord wasn't letting me.
If you give up your dodge roll for whatever attacks you next, I will let you do an all-out attack and get the 2 attacks.
Okay.
Especially since one of them is just hanging there. It does have a knife, but it's just hanging.
Oh, yeah, I saw one of those.
Saber staff by 9 and by 4. One of them gets a dodge.
I think it was.
One of them fails a dodge.
Yeah.
This one's technically interesting. It's technically pinned. I'll let it have a dodge, but unless it crits. Well, it did make that one by 4, but, well, 11 points of damage. Each. 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. Roll your health. Are you still standing? Still standing. This one.
Your tone of voice when you said, "Are you still standing?" was like one of the portal sentries saying, "Are you still there?
Are you still there?
I'm different."
Activating.
They
Target
shriek
lost.
in anger. And neither of them turn into desiccated bits.
Yet.
The Spulcher shrieks, and the poor thing goes flapping off into the darkness, and then you hear a thud and some more fuss and flapping.
They're going to eat each other, aren't they? Well,
Either that or it hit a wall. It seemed to be shrieking fuss in fright. It also made a crit failure on its IQ. And I missed by 12. That's very sad.
some people simply aren't cut out for the rigors of combat.
Some people
There
are
is
cut out
that.
for having their soul put in an undead bird.
I think most people. I would say most people.
Yes, but my statement's still technically accurate, which is the best kind.
And Tuxa. I believe
think
this
Rand's
is the
up.
turn. Oh, Rand. That's right. Rand's up.
Okay.
After the Spulcher goes Rand. Sorry.
I think these two that are right in front of Antuxa and Sen, I think Antuxa and Sen can do something with them. There is Monster 1 and Monster 2. The one with the bow that's pretending to be down, and the one that's just there around the corner. Now,
Monster 2 also has a bow. It's the one that's been aiming. Sorry, I wasn't
Monster 2
clear.
is aiming. Monster 1 is down for the count. Well,
Presumably down for the count. It is lying there and does not appear to be aiming or doing anything useful.
well, I think I'd like to throw something at the one that's down, just to try to make sure they're down.
Are you going to throw Monster 2?
That's an odd thing for you to suggest. Throw one monster at another monster? Who do you think I am, Kevin? Yes, I'm totally going to do
Bowling for Mon? Are you going to drop a Monster 4?
I am going to drop Monster 4 to do this because I don't think I can do this for two of them at the same time.
You could, but I would definitely be assigning penalties.
They've both taken a lot of damage right now. I'm going to try to stop the ranged attack.
Okay.
So telekinesis othering Monster 2, who's almost hiding behind a wall, into
But not
Monster
quite.
1. I see you.
And how much did you make that by? 6.
Only by 6.
Okay.
It's not my best roll. My form is a little off.
That's all right. It misses its dodge by a great deal. It's landing on they're not hard like stone. I'm going to say, for that particular amount. Let's see, made by 6. Sure, you can throw it back. You can throw it back, but it's not going to be quite as damaging as the made by 8 telekinesis. So how about 2d minus 4?
Okay. The primary goal was to disrupt the aiming. Secondary goal is damage.
That's definitely what is going to happen.
I roll a 6 again.
Indeed.
With a higher negative. So now, who do I do the 6 damage to? Monster 1, Monster 2, or both?
The answer is both, because they're both... Okay. And
I'm trying to be nice. I'm throwing them away from Sen.
That's certainly some form of nice. It
Nice
hangs
to the
on.
monsters.
Yes, it hangs onto its bow, but it's not. It is not aiming it. And then the invisible
And
NPC is
one of them.
No, neither of them are desiccated.
Well, then I'm just going to have to make them explode.
If that's a thing that can happen, okay. And Tuxa,
Somewhere
it's
in
your
part of
turn.
the galaxy, a Jawa punches the air.
And Tuxa does acting made by 5. What are you doing, Antuxa?
And Tuxa, with her hands behind her back, sidesteps the punch from the monster. And goes invisible again.
Poof. And Tuxa is invisible. Give yourself your invisibility.
Yes. I have to do
and now you can do your move. You are moving around behind and to the side.
Yes.
Okay. You are now behind the 2. One is that was hanging there, one that threw the punch, and that Sen has probably grabbed aggro from, but with their lightsaber thing. Okay.
And that's an action and a move, so.
That's an action and a move. Top of the list. A monster 1 is dropped, and I'm going to see if monster 1 can actually make use of the fact that they were dropped. Monster 1 is going to attempt to attack Sen with a knife.
You mean...
Actually, that's monster 4. Sorry.
Right. Yeah.
Monster 4, I have the glasses on.
I was going to say, that's a very long knife.
Indeed.
I threw monster 1 across
the two that are in front of Sen, the first of them to come up is monster 4, actually, for whatever reasons of rolling and such. And a monster 4 is going to attempt to hit Sen with the knife that monster 4 has been clinging to with a swing, and makes it by 2. Sen, you forfeited your dodge. Is that all right, I hope?
Yep. Okay. I forfeited my dodge.
In that case, and it rolls 1 point of damage, because apparently the dice never lie, and being dropped means that it's not combating as well. Do you want to update your character sheet, or shall I? You're not wearing any armor, right?
I changed it.
Okay, you've got it changed. Okay.
Uh-huh. I don't think you gave us any armor.
No. Monster 2 is picking itself up, and 1, 2, 3. It's moving out of line of sight. Who knows what it's going to be up to next?
That's not very fair.
No, it's not. Monster 3 is going to throw a punch at Sen, who has forfeited dodge, and therefore is going to take 2 points there.
All right.
It's monster 3. That one. I need the ruler just briefly here. Nope, that's not what I want to do. That's not what I want to do. Don't do that. Measurement control. That's the... Yes, thank you. I just want to get... Yeah, that's... What is that doing? Okay. I guess someone's just waiting. That. 1, 2, 3, 4, another monster comes charging around the corner. Or maybe it's monster 2 that vanished. Who knows? It's a little hard to tell. It's dark. Do-do-do-do-do. Yeah, okay. And this fellow is gonna make a perception. You hear Rude yelling something about, don't even try it, Mittens. Mittens. And is doing something else, because that's basically all you get to hear. And now it is Sen's turn.
How are these two looking?
They are looking seared and half gutted, and they smell terrible, and they are probably running on high health, not hit points. Sort of an advantage of being a kind of an undead thing. I mean, you could always try to cut their heads off. No one's tried that yet.
Oh yeah, cold shots exist.
Mm-hmm. Does take there's the hit location and the penalty, a -5 to go for the net.
You know, I don't think they'll survive another hit either way. I am not going to go for the neck, and I am only going to go for one of them this time, because while I am not too broken up about being punched in the face, I don't want to be hit with an arrow.
I mean, that's fair. Neither of these two have a bow that are in front of you.
Yeah.
Oof.
Just
Two
barely
sixes
made
and a 4.
success there. Yeah, 664.
I can't see the rolls in chat, but I can see the dice.
Just made it. Okay, which one are you going after? Monster 4 or Monster 3?
Which one looks worse?
They both look about the same.
Then I will go
Horrible.
after the one that did 2 points of damage to me, and not the one that did 1 point.
That's Monster 3. Okay.
Okay.
The one who actually punched you and did slightly more damage than the one that flailed around with its knife. Well, it punched with a clawed fist, so more like, paw punch, but
I didn't say that this was logical prioritization.
that's fair.
The strategy is more along the lines of Pavlovian. If you hit me more, I hit you more.
I mean, that's fair. So, I will apply the dodge. Let's see if it can dodge. It missed by 2. Wouldst thou care to roll thy damage?
Now you
Another
have
11. That's a lot of damage. Okay, let's roll check 1. Made by health by 1. Let's roll check 2. And it withers away into horrible goo and then desiccation, and I'll just delete that.
Zanoni twirls their lightsaber dramatically.
There is flopping around and squawking and yelling a fuss in a back behind where people are, and then it is Rand's turn.
I am going to hope that Antuxa's not in the way, and I intend to throw the one that's still close to Sen at the one that's been running towards us.
Okay, that's using it to hit. I'm going to say that, let's see, speed range, just give me half a moment here to rulervate. Okay.
I do have Combat Adept.
Combat Adept is what lets you move your own self around combatively and boost your own abilities.
I'm boosting
Throwing
their
things
ability
at
to fly.
You will have to make a fast talk GM roll that's automatically to -10. And do you even have the skill?
Antuxa, would you be a wonderful help and make a fast talk GM roll? Antuxa's being very quiet and also invisible.
It took some sorry, that only made it by 5. It didn't make it by 10. The GM resists.
Darn. Okay, we've yes-anded enough. I'm still trying to throw Monster 4, Monster 7, because we can see the label, so I know it's a different monster. But in any case.
Give me a made by 4. They'll do it. Okay. Made by 4, that's going to be technically made by 1. I'm going to say that this is a 1d minus 3 collision. And now they are on top of each other.
Don't heal them. I heal them for 1 point of damage by smacking them into their compatriot.
No, they merely go oof and flail. They manage to stay upright. People manage to stay
Where'd they
upright.
go?
Strengthening on top of each other.
They were on the same hex. Okay.
Yeah, I stuck them on the same hex. No. Do that. Why do you pop them into existence doing that? That's so annoying. Yeah, okay. They stay upright. I wish there was a way to just slightly offset them. Can I make them not snap to grid?
There is, but it's annoying. I did it for Control in the D&D game, and I fiddled with that map for way too long to get the icon for Control to line up with the thing that I'd screenshotted Control from on the map.
It's a shame that I can't layer them and have them be like just slightly offset, but that's something to yell at that, or not yell, to put it in a GitHub request with Foundry people or something.
If you make them just slightly smaller.
Oh, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. So, token scale.
Don't do the scale. That'll just make them grow or shrink, but centered on the hex. Dimensions, grid spaces. Change one of them to 0.9, maybe?
Ah.
And then it still might only show up. The smaller one is the one that's underneath. Of course it is.
Of course it is.
Oh, well.
Well,
this has been our Fighting with Foundry session.
Yep. Okay. Foundry. All right. Things that are still going on. We are still viewing that. And Tux's turn.
You know.
Something just went whoosh right by your face, by the way, when it slammed into the other one.
Ren was silently hoping that Intuxa was not in the way.
Barely.
Ran was still technically correct.
I am taking a path around the fallen monsters. I'm not walking over them.
Okay.
As funny as that would be.
Strolling along.
And I have decided that I am not as concerned by the one that is slumped over with a skull on it as I am by the one that's been hiding around the corner this entire time.
That's actually one that's one that ran through and got in, and it ran for cover. Scurried for cover. Ran through it and it scurried for cover. After,
Oh.
This one does in fact look a little bit bashed up and bruised from what you can see, although it's a little hard to tell because the light source, yeah, there's not a lot of light source here. It's hiding in shadows. Basically, click on
then I am going to maintain eye contact with Monster 2.
You're invisible.
It's
as I undo my invisibility.
And go Kurzap.
And throw lightning at Monster 1.
Monster 1? The one with the skull on it?
The one with the skull on it that hasn't actually collapsed into...
Oh, so
okay.
It's facing Monster 2 and just sticks her left arm out to the side and zaps the one that's down as a means of intimidation.
Pretty much.
Yes, I could do this to you. I'm doing this to them first to show you what's coming.
How much damage do you wish to be doing?
Pretty much all of it.
11. There are so many 11s that someone's going to roll a divine intervention.
Yeah.
Tonight's episode might be named 11 when I upload it. Episode 35, 11.
Interestingly enough, it does not decay into shriveled desiccation, although it sort of twitches and, flails as the lightning hits. Monster 2 snarls at you.
You have made a wise decision by seeking cover. I suggest you continue to do that.
Things have. Just let me check something. Dip, 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 dip.
Oh, I have to spend a fatigue.
Okay. Now that's an interesting thing to do. I don't have that up, so I'm just going to go with 1, 2. Okay. There. Radio. I'll just have to remember that.
The GM will remember this.
Mm-hmm. Monster 4 picks itself up and staggers 2 paces closer to Sen, considering that it's a little bit battered. Yeah, we need to end combat soonish, which is a shame because these things are so much fun.
Clearly this thing has a concussion. It's running towards the problem.
Indeed it is. The other one that it landed on picks itself up, and actually it's picking itself up. Let me quickly check. It got knocked down.
But it got up again.
Picking self up count. Yes, it got up again, and it also takes a step towards. Bip, bip, there.
And immediately falls over.
Bip. No, it's actually looking quite spry.
You put the
It's a problem.
icon on it.
I was concerned about what you were using that to represent.
I was using that to represent that I clicked on the wrong spot when I was keeping track of who's going what, where, and when in the thing. It yanks it around.
I assumed that Sen had just cut its feet off.
There is there's an explosion of somebody just shot their shotgun from behind.
Oh,
There
I
is-
hope the right one got shot.
Well,
He's
you're
shooting
not
at
shot.
the sculpture.
Let's see if that. There is some yelling of criff and words that would have to be edited, and sounds of a struggle from behind. You'd have to be looking, and you're not looking at the moment. So, Sen, your turn. And if we're not done, then I will just pause it at the end of the round, and we can take up combat later.
Sen thinks that Rufu is getting what he probably deserves.
Unless
Or
Buck's
probably
getting
getting what he deserves. Probably getting what he definitely deserves. And advances, twirling their saber.
Made your saber staff by 3. Which one are you going after?
Oh yes, it does have reach, doesn't it? I'm going after the one I closed with.
Monster 4?
Mm-hmm.
Monster 4 makes its dodge. Barely. Ethereal intervention.
In that case, I have had my turn.
Okay.
Which one has the knife? 4, or does 7 also have a knife?
7 does not have a knife. 4 has a knife.
Okay. Well, this won't do it all. How high is the ceiling?
The ceiling is not very high. You could reach up and touch it without extending your arm very far.
You know, I have seen, and actually I used the GIF in here, a particular scene in Rogue One when Vader holds someone up against the ceiling and then slices them in half.
Uh-huh. I remember that.
But I really can't be bothered because I'm tired of these things. So I want to have it smack the ceiling and then smack the floor. The second part might just be gravity. But
That's fair.
I want to crush their skull in with the ceiling. And I want to do that to Monster 4.
Give Monster 4. Give me your telekinesis roll, and
Made it by
and I
10.
will. And the sad thing is, that made it by 10 is not actually a crit for you anymore because your skill is so high, and it only crits on a 6 or less.
Huge
Okay.
thing.
I assume that you're basically going to slam it up there and keep squishing it upwards until it desiccates, no matter what.
I can do that. My
If
first
you
thought
want.
was to have it bounce off the ceiling and let gravity give it falling damage. But the ceiling isn't that high, so I don't know if it'll actually take falling damage from that. But
I mean, not very much falling damage.
Look, Sen, I've made a piñata. Would you care to play a game?
You made it by 10. In the interests of everything, if you want to basically squish it up until it becomes a pancake of horrible, desiccated, leathery stuff, you can.
May I?
You may.
What do I roll for that?
Honestly, you simply made it. If you want to, just do it. Or you can do whatever you want with it.
We have a ceiling pancake. Oh no, no, Rand's not going to stop doing this. Rand is doing this, but the player has realized that now there is a desiccated pancake on the ceiling, and Sen is probably going to advance on this other monster and therefore will be under it.
I mean, there is the issue that, yes, it's probably going to go up there and basically kind of explode while Sen is right there. Again.
I have learned nothing. I mean, actually, no, I did learn, but they keep running towards Sen.
It's because Sen's in front of you.
They didn't keep running towards, like, they were down. They got back up, and then they approached the worst person to approach. And now they're fatigued. I don't know how that worked, but okay.
Things. Actually, let's see. Can I make
just adding stuff?
There. That's what I'll do. That's what I'll do. I'll put the explosion icon there.
Because of course.
Let's see. Oh, there it is. Oh, it doesn't actually show to other people if I do that. Oh, what a nuisance. Well,
something showed up on them.
Oh, okay.
They're now an hexagon with a rectangle and two circles.
That is weird.
It is weird.
We will determine that.
And
okay.
You know what?
They're gunk.
This is where we keep the gunk.
Uh-huh. Osa, what are you doing? Are you doing what I think you're doing? Yeah.
Monster 2 done anything aggressive toward me? Or just snarled?
It's snarling and cowering.
I'm trying to think out a line. Only one of the people who has been subject to your little ritual has survived combat with me. He is outside of the cave. You are in front of me. If you value your life, be somewhere else.
And on that note, because we have been playing for a while in combat.
May I finish my turn, please?
You may. Darn, but you gave me such a good line. Finish your turn. Be somewhere else. And what are you?
That is targeted at Monster 7.
Okay. Monster 7 is not facing you. Monster 7 does not have
7 with lightning in the back and made it by 2 with a penalty for range.
Yes. For 4 damage.
For 4 damage. It shrieks and is going to be doing something on its next round. But since you had such a wonderful turn, darn. Yeah, well, this one's actually at high health, or was it high health?
Really?
Interestingly enough, yes.
It's not one of the ones that I caught in the Force Storm?
Well, you see, there's this little thing, and in fact, this seems like a perfectly good time to do it. As you are standing there, you see claws come up out of the pit, and another one is coming out.
And it's bringing with it a bucket of vomit.
You never know. And that, I think, is where we should end it.
And a bottle of blood.
Good night, everyone. We'll continue this combat next time. Thank everyone for listening. Thank everyone for playing and putting up with combat, which I'm hopefully getting a little bit better at. And does anyone want to plug anything?
Well, Eos Mio, Rios Bios. Eo's mom writes books.
At ElizabethMcCoy.com. Please go there and purchase one. Or, I mean, you can purchase them off of Amazon if you look up Elizabeth McCoy. There ought to be links that lead there. You can purchase it at Smashwords. You can purchase it for Nook or the Apple Books app or Kobo or Ask your library to get the ebook. And speaking of wonderful things that you can get,
you can get all these podcasts at ironbsmith.com/cogwheel. If you look at the individual campaigns, you can subscribe to each one individually, and that'll give you the entire campaign if it's a finished campaign. You can have that all downloaded at once, and my poor server will cry. But you can follow us on the Fediverse as well at is.ironbsmith.com/@cogwheel, and you can support us financially and help my poor ailing server when people subscribe to an entire campaign at once by going to patreon.com/cogwheelgaming and joining other illustrious patrons, including Ellie, Shen, Walter, and patron emeritus Cindy.
Until next time, this is Beth saying, I'm gonna shoot you. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
What are you gonna do? Stab me? Last words said by stabbing victim. Good night, everybody.
Night night.